One of the bigger ones that's still a big announcement, but not a lot of info behind it, is this thing with Sony and Microsoft. So I pulled up some of the details. Yeah. So they announced this partnership over developing a cloud gaming truce or some kind of platform that they're both working on. So in detail, I pulled up this Kotaku article. It's from Ethan Gatch. I'll just quickly go through it. Microsoft said today, this is last week, they will partner with Sony, its chief rival in gaming console space, on new cloud-based solutions for gaming experiences. So I'll step out of it. What does that sound to you when I explain that? New cloud-based solutions for gaming experiences.
I mean, I think really what just happened is Sony's cloud solutions weren't really up to snuff, and Microsoft's currently are.
Gotcha.
So they're saying, hey, we'll partner with you. You scratch our back here. And it sounded like Sony was going to scratch their back in another way in which I didn't understand.
Yeah, where would they help? Because right now, that's Microsoft's one kind of lead over Sony. Why would they in any way help them out? Like, what do they have any benefit to do that?
I don't know what Microsoft game plan is at this point. It seems, it's very mixed messagey what they're doing. It's cool that they're being cool about a bunch of shit.
That's a positive thing. It's just hasn't happened really before. Even with PlayStation not letting like crossplay happen with Fortnite and other games, and then just reluctantly bending. This seems out of place, but they do go on a little bit more. So under the memorandum of understanding signed by the parties, the two companies will explore joint development of future cloud solutions in Microsoft Azure to support their respective game and content streaming services, Microsoft said in its press release. In addition, the two companies will explore the use of current Microsoft Azure data center-based solutions for Sony's game and content streaming services. Or whatever that means. So I wonder, they're beefing up, or they're working on the next these next consoles, really focusing on streaming, right? And so whether it's like streaming 1-for-1 right when you're playing, and a lot of people are kind of bringing out how is this them gearing up to compete with Stadia?
I think so.
So then they really must take them pretty seriously with the fact that, interesting. And they would know hardware, there were no streaming, so they would see Stadia's announcement and say, oh, they could do that. Like but when everyone else, as far as like pundits and stuff talking about it, like they were very skeptical, but it seems like Sony and Microsoft are going, oh shit, we need to do something.
That would be, it definitely would be interesting to see that sort of happen for the next generation. Like Stadia comes out and then Sony, Microsoft band together. And they're like, we've been doing this console game since before, Google was a thing. So, well, except for Microsoft, but Sony has.
Right.
So yeah, it's sort of neat. I hope something good comes out of it, but yeah, it's really hard to tell.
It's hard to tell. I think they're purposely kind of just giving you the general idea without the details. Yeah. And I think they're giving us, they're releasing these press releases with very little detail, so much so that their own people are not understanding what's going on too. So here was an update to that story. So apparently the PlayStation team didn't realize what was going on. This is an article also from Kotaku by Luke Plunkett. So Microsoft and Sony's cloud gaming collaboration caught the PlayStation team by surprise. So this is according to a Bloomberg report on the partnership, which cites people familiar with the matter. The early stages of the deal began last year and were handled directly by Sony senior management in Tokyo, largely without the involvement of the PlayStation unit. This means that when the collaboration was announced last week, most of Sony's own console gaming team would have been hearing about it the same time as you or I. Understanding this freaked out some folks. The report claiming managers had to calm workers and assure them that plans for the company's next generation console weren't affected. So they really now, is that them just trying to be secretive so nothing leaks, or leaks in the way that they can't control the message, or are they really not talking to all their different?
I think it was the first one. I think they were trying to control the leaks because leaks are so rampant.
Yep.
So they picked people they could trust. They handled this. I mean, I personally, if I was in their position, wouldn't be worried about people getting freaked out over like the next generation, because I mean, it's not going to affect it that much.
No, it must not, if they're not really telling them what's going on. It must be them really on the just future-proofing stuff and building some kind of platform where they can stream stuff, and then that eventually will take hold and not affect PS5, Xbox, whatever the next one is.
Yeah. But, so it's interesting. But honestly, with them, I think it's good to see though their commitment with keeping the consoles, like, yeah, have the streaming as an option, but being able to keep the consoles available, because not only is it people out in the middle of nowhere, but a huge one is like you look at military people, when they're out with nothing to do for hours at a time, they play shit tons of video games.
I imagine.
So they can't do that with Stadia. Stadia is just not an option.
Right.
So, and you know that shit's going to be spying on you. So
yeah, 100%. Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah. Cause they're really set up to both provide like an actual hardware option and then also a streaming option at the same time, which Stadia is only streaming. Yeah. But no, it is going to be interesting, and that is good. I hope that them working together also trickles down into other things. We can get more cross-play, between different games. We can, the more they're working together, the better.
This could mean, though, for sure, like, so there's a rumor of Microsoft being able to, cloud stream games onto the Switch as well.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like this either semi-confirms that, and they're going to allow it on all the platforms, or it's entirely possible that people assumed it was the Switch because they heard like, oh, they're going to allow for streaming onto another console, and people were like, well, it's not going to be the PlayStation. So maybe they
tricked your ass.
I got them.
Wow. So. Although, I mean, if they do that, it just seems like there's no incentive, or there's less incentive rather, for people to go with Xbox, right? To buy their next Xbox console.
As long as they're absolutely, there's no,
I guess just excluding their exclusives. But then why would you? I don't know. It gets weird when you start breaking it down.
Yeah, but, I'd definitely get a PlayStation whatever if I can still play my Xbox games on the thing. I'd prefer to just play it on my Switch and have my...
Yep, just stream whatever.
Yeah, and have my PC. But, and we'll see now with Rage, and I can't play the shit.
Yeah.
I even have that problem too with Division, where it's just like I can play it 99% of the time, and then occasionally if there's too much shit on the screen, it's like...
Yeah. Gotcha.
So, yeah, it'd be interesting. But, man, I would be really curious to see how they would make that work if you could stream Microsoft games on
PS4
Sony
or PlayStation
and Switch. Like,
yeah, yeah, it gets weird because they'd have to be. They want to move hardware, right? But they also want to sell their software at the same time. So I guess they have to trade off. Does this mean we can sell more software if we end up on everyone's platform, and we're still going to sell hardware at some kind of base level anyways? So maybe they just try and just sell the most that they can.
What if this was their transition out of the hardware game? Because the hardware game is expensive. Most consoles are taking a loss when you're buying that box. So what if they're just like, why the fuck are we wasting money?
That's true, and that's interesting. I feel like that could become more likely if the next iteration of Xbox does kind of do the same numbers. Then I see them feeling the pressure to go, okay, we have to figure something out. But I feel like they're still in the way where they can like bounce back, because they're like Sony was with the last generation, where PS3 really floundered, but then they came back with PS4. I feel like they're getting geared up to do the same thing. But you're right. I wonder if they're laying the groundwork.
Wow.
But it's really too early to tell, and we'll see what they do because it's not a lot of information out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird. It's a weird time.
Yeah.